What's going on, everybody? Scott Bogman here for BettingPros to give you my favorite picks and props for Week 11 of the college football season. And you can tail me on the BettingPros app or bettingpros.com/Bogman. We'll show you all my picks. Last week was miserable. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Been great. I was 11-1 the past 2 weeks before that, but coming into this one, 1-6 on my picks. They're just miserable. Ole Miss and Arkansas scored over 90 points. Indiana was my one that I got. Iowa State just couldn't put up points for whatever reason against Texas Tech and wound up losing that game. I missed the Georgia cover by the hook. Navy and Rice had a 6-hour rain delay or whatever it was, or lightning delay. Nebraska straight up lost to UCLA, and Tennessee did not cover against Kentucky. So just bad picks. For me, I was 3-4 on my props. I was 1 of 2 on my touchdown calls. And some of those, I missed Giles Jackson by 6 yards. I missed Tet McMillan by like 10 yards. So some of them were close, but it was just a bad week, right? And you chalk it up and you're going to be humbled if you bet long enough, and I was last week. But this is the most important week because it's the next week up. So I have 6 more picks for you, and I got a bunch of props. So let's get into it. We're going to start with Miami -11 at Georgia Tech. And I know in this game that Georgia Tech is probably going to have those players back. Haynes King, the quarterback, probably their best player on offense. Jamal Haynes, their running back, likely to play. The reason I'm still on Miami, because the defense has been bad for Miami. So you look at this game, and go, well, do we trust Miami's defense? Not really. But what I don't trust is Georgia Tech's offense with those 2 players at less than 100%. And I know that Miami is going to score on anyone because Duke came in last week with a much better defense than Georgia Tech has. And Miami rolled them for 50 points. So, this probably a late cover. And I know this was the big mistake game as well, where Georgia Tech came back and won. I think Mario Cristobal is going to want a statement here. I think they are going to want to, go ahead and put up a bunch of points here in this game. And I think they win going away. I think this game gets out of hand for Georgia Tech pretty quick. Miami has run the ball more recently, but they still pass at a 61.4% clip. And the thing here for Georgia Tech and their defense is they don't put pressure on the quarterback. They're 122nd this season in sacks. And Cam Ward has the 4th highest PFF grade in a clean pocket this year. So you give him a clean pocket, he will pick you apart. I think Georgia Tech wins this game going away. Remember, Cam Ward was not a part of that loss last year. He was not involved in that game. Let's go to Washington and Penn State. I'm going to go with the under 46.5, and this is because I feel like both defenses are ahead of the offenses here. Penn State is top 10 in scoring and total defense, team defensive performance. They're top 25 in passing defense, rushing defense, and grade top 25 in overall team defense, run defense, pass rush, and coverage grades. I mean, this is a very, very strong Penn State defense. It's what has been winning them games. Big Ten opponents are averaging only 16.2 points per game against the Nittany Lions. And it's been a tough season offensively for Washington. 100th in points per game, 23.6 points per game. That drops to 20.4 against Big Ten opponents, and Penn State is going to be the best defense that they played all year. Even if this game does become lopsided, as the spread suggests, Penn State's 33 points in overtime is the most that they put up in a game. So Washington's defense is solid enough. The lean is heavy here toward the under in this one. We're going to go to South Carolina at Vanderbilt. I'm going to lay the 6 points and take South Carolina in this game. And Vandy is having a magical season. They're bowl eligible for the first time since 2018. They beat Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, played Texas real close. But South Carolina has been a bit overlooked. South Carolina put up 374 yards and 25 points on Alabama. They had 35 against OU. But last week, when they put up 530 and 44 points, that's when they broke out. They also had 18 pressures and 3 sacks. They're playing at different levels, right? Vandy is a 60.5% run rate team. South Carolina is top 20 against the run. They don't match up well. Diego Pavia is probable. He's going to play in this game. I wouldn't say that he's 100%. And the last 2 games that Vandy has played are the first 2 games that they have had a post-game win expectancy of less than 50%. So I think the magic is running out in Vanderbilt right now, and South Carolina is on the other end. The magic is ticking up for them right now. So I'm going to lay the points and take South Carolina in that game. Minnesota minus 5.5 at Rutgers. These teams are, again, 2 teams going in opposite directions right now. Minnesota has won and covered in 4 straight games. Rutgers has lost 4 straight and are 0-3-1 against the spread in that time. So no wins and 1 push, 3 losses. The only game that Minnesota's really looked bad all year was that Iowa game. Max Brosmer has not had an interception in 4 straight games. Rutgers' offense has been better the last couple games, but the defense has been tough. They've allowed 400 yards in the last 3 straight. Their best player, running back Kyle Monaghan, might not play in this game. Rutgers is bad against the run, too. 94 statistically and 86 in PFF grade. Minnesota 7-1-1 against the spread this season, and these teams are just heading in opposite directions. So Rutgers has home field, but I think that's all they have in this game, so I think they're going to get rolled. We're going to go to 2 more totals, both overs. Florida State at Notre Dame, over 42.5. And I expect Notre Dame to get most of this total. Florida State's offense has been completely anemic, 130th in time of possession. Notre Dame should have the ball for most of this game, and they keep rolling teams. 51-14 at Navy, 49-7 against Stanford, 66-7 at Purdue. So when they get rolling downhill, they have been putting up points and not coming off the brakes here. So I think Notre Dame does the heavy lifting in this game. You know, this game is like a 35-10, 42-7, something like that. I think Notre Dame can get most of, if not all of this total. So, you know, Florida State would have to drag them down into the mud, and I just don't think Notre Dame is going to be drugged down in the mud. I think that's what everybody thought with Navy last week. It did not work for Navy at all, and Florida State sitting at 1-8 this season, I don't think has enough juice to even get up for this game. I mean, getting up for this game would mean they have a good defensive performance. The offense is just so pathetic, though. They're going to give them extra cracks at it. They're going to give Notre Dame good field position. I just think the way Florida State is playing and the way Notre Dame are playing are, again, complete opposites. And I think the total is easily over in this. And I'm going to chase. I know maybe I shouldn't chase, but we chased this Texas Tech over last week. It did not pay off because Iowa State couldn't score. Well, Colorado's coming into town this week. It's Colorado at Texas Tech. The total 62.5. And look, Texas Tech did a good job last week. I'm not trying to take away anything from their performance, but they are still grade 126 in coverage. They're 133rd statistically against the pass, and they don't get to the quarterback. They allowed 432 yards to Iowa State last week, so the score was low, but the yards were there, and Iowa State just didn't put the ball in the end zone. I don't think this is a Colorado walk, but I do think that they are good enough to put up a bunch of points. I think Texas Tech is going to score a decent amount of points as well, so the over in this game looks really strong, in my opinion, at 62.5. So I'm going to chase it. I was wrong last week. If you don't want to take that one, if you want to fade it, I understand. But I'm just going to keep chasing this Texas Tech defense because they're bad. And Colorado passes the ball a ton. Shedeur Sanders, one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And I think Colorado is going to put up a bunch of points on Texas Tech. Before we get to the props, are you looking to up your game in sports betting? Join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for the NBA, NFL, MLB, college sports, player props, live betting, and more, but you can also participate in our weekly community picks, cast your vote, and see how your picks stack up against the experts and track your success all over at bettingpros.com/chat. All right, let's get to the props. I've got 2 touchdown calls for you. Trebor Pena, the Syracuse wide receiver, is plus 150 at Boston College. You're getting a good number because he hasn't scored in a while. I think it's been the last 4 games, but he's averaging just under 10 targets a game. He's the leading receiver for Syracuse, and they are 4th in the nation in passing yards and 11th in passing touchdowns. I think against Boston College, Trebor Pena can easily get back into the end zone. Ryan Williams, the wide receiver for Alabama, is minus 140 at LSU, but I mean, this is a bet that you compare with something else that you like. He has 7 touchdowns this season. He added 7 receiving touchdowns. He's added 1 on the ground as well, so 8 total touchdowns this year. He's third in yards on deep balls and touchdowns on deep balls. He has 5 so far this season. LSU has given up 77 plays of 10 or more yards. I believe that's right around 80th in the country. They've given up 25 plays of 20 plus, and we know that Ryan Williams, we know he's only 17 and all of that, but he loves to make these plays in these huge games. He did against Georgia. I think he can do it against LSU as well. So let's go with Ryan Williams to score a touchdown. Those are our 2 touchdown calls. Let's go to passing yards. I already explained a little bit of it, but Behren Morton for Texas Tech, 255.5 yards. This is how Texas Tech scores. This is how Texas Tech plays catch up if they're down. So there's multiple routes to Behren Morton throwing for a bunch of yards. I'm not going to take a receiver because whoever Travis Hunter is on has been tough recently, but there's plenty of other receivers. So probably no Josh Kelly in this one getting shut down against Travis Hunter, but I think everybody else is going to be able to do it. And, Behren Morton is a vet. I think he's going to be fine. Nico, I'm going to take Nico for Tennessee here, 233.5 yards. It's minus 135, but this is a perfect spot to get Iamaleava's confidence up here right before they play Georgia. It's Mississippi State. Mississippi State is bad. They're 108th in passing yards allowed. DJ Lagway got in relief of Graham Mertz in that game. He was 7 of 7. Arch had 324. Beck had over 400. Taylor Green had over 300 yards against him. Mississippi State's defense has played miserably this season, and like I said, I just think this is a perfect spot before you go play Georgia. You let Nico sling it. You let him have a good game against a bad defense. You get that confidence up and up and up for him. So I think 233.5 yards is just a little low for him. Rushing yards, you know what? I'm going to take his teammate, Dylan Sampson. 125.5 yards against Mississippi State. They're worse against the run than they are against the pass. They have allowed 59 runs of 10 plus. He's hit this in 4 of 8 games. He's hit this in 3 of the last 4 weeks, Dylan Sampson has. And again, just Mississippi State's defense is pathetic. I think Tennessee, again, let's get rolling with confidence before we go play Georgia. Let's put up a lot of points on Mississippi State. Let's do what we're supposed to do and get out of there. So, yeah, I think 125.5 yards. I mean, honestly, I think he gets over 50% on probably 2 to 3 big chunk plays. And then the rest is just because they hand the ball to him a bunch. So Dylan Sampson over 125.5. I mean, the R.J. Harvey one was one of the few I hit last week, which was a bunch of yards. We're going to go to that South Carolina Vandy game. We're going to go to Rocket Sanders, 71.5 yards at Vandy. He finally looked all the way back last week against A&M. 20 carries in that game for 144 and 2. Again, another guy that can pick this up in chunks against Vandy. Vandy has played solid defense, specifically at home, but like I said, it seems like the magic is wearing off. Diego Pavia is less than 100%. I think South Carolina holds on to the ball a bunch, which means I think Raheim Sanders gets a lot of cracks at this and a decent amount of carries. And like I said, 20 last week, finally looking healthy. He just looks good. I got a bunch of receiving yard prop ones, so I'm going to kind of burn through these ones quicker. We're going back to the Xavier Restrepo well. Miami, 90.5 is his number. He's hit that in 3 of the last 4 games. He picks these up in big chunks. He hit his last week on a huge play late. So love Xavier Restrepo. We're going to go to Xzavier Henderson for Cincinnati against West Virginia. He was shut down by Travis Hunter last week, but they're getting WVU now, and they're 115th ranked against the pass. Cincy, 55.2% pass rate means they're going to pass the ball more than they run it. And he has passed this total in 5 of 8 games this season and is the leading Cincinnati receiver by 100 yards. So Xzavier Henderson, I think, can easily get this done against WVU. We're going to go on the other side of that Ryan Williams call and go to Aaron Anderson, the LSU wide receiver, 53.5 yards. Beating Alabama is through the air is the best way to get to them. We know they pass it over a 60% clip for LSU, and he has hit this in all but 1 game so far. So, the reason he wouldn't hit this is because Alabama just completely dominates on defense, and that has not been their MO this season. So we're going to take Aaron Anderson. We're going to go to a running back here, Desmond Reid for Pittsburgh, 33.5 receiving yards versus Virginia. He's the third leading receiver for Pitt. He's hit this in 4 or 7 games. He had 13 targets last week against SMU. Eli Holstein looking a little less than 100%. Maybe they don't want him throwing the ball downfield or hanging in the pocket too long to get hit, so they're having him dump the ball off to Desmond Reid a little bit more. I think it's going to lead to at least 33.5 yards. I think he can easily get that against Virginia. We're going to go to Emeka Egbuka, over 70.5 against Purdue. He's hit this in 5 games. Purdue is getting worse, it seems like, every single week. This one is one I think he gets pretty quick. And the last one that I have for you guys, Kyle Williams, Washington State, over 69.5 receiving yards versus Utah State. Utah State is 114th in 10-plus yards, yard plays allowed passing. Kyle Williams is leading Washington State in yards receiving. They're 110th against the pass, and he is 11th in yards per catch among wide receivers with at least 35 catches. So again, Utah State just pathetic on defense, and that's really the name of the game here. We're picking on some bad defenses in these ones with Kyle Williams against Utah State, Egbuka against Purdue, Aaron Anderson kind of against Bama. They've been better, but they're bad against the pass. Henderson against West Virginia. That is the name of the game in some of these props this week. So that is what I got for you guys. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Good luck in your bets, and I will see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.